Hello, everyone. I used to work as a receptionist at a hotel. This wasn't just any hotel. It was old, ancient, really. Located just outside the city, surrounded by towering trees and a road where cars rarely passed. The atmosphere was eerily quiet, enough to give you chills. I started working there 3 years ago, completely unaware of what this place was hiding. And what I experienced, it was a nightmare I'll never forget. It all began on my first night shift. I remember it clearly. It was drizzling outside, and the sound of rain hitting the roof was strange, almost like something was tapping along with it. I was alone at the reception counter. The hotel had 3 floors, but the lobby where I sat was dead silent. No guests, no other staff, just me. Then, out of nowhere, the lobby lights flickered. I jumped, looking around. Nothing seemed out of place. But why? Why did I feel a chill at the back of my neck? I tried to convince myself it was just an electrical issue. Old hotels like this were bound to have problems, right? So, I got up to check the light switch, walking cautiously because the wooden floor was a bit slippery. When I reached the switch and touched it lightly, the flickering stopped. I let out a sigh of relief, thinking it was over. But as I turned to sit back down, something felt off. It was like a pair of eyes was watching me. I scanned the room again, nothing. Yet the feeling was so strong, like someone was standing close, so close I could almost hear their breathing. I froze, too scared to move. I told myself, Faye, you're overthinking this. It's just an old hotel, nothing more *, but before I could calm down, I heard it, a sound. Footsteps. They were faint, like someone walking barefoot. They came from the hallway behind the counter, a pitch-black corridor because the lights there had been broken for days. My heart pounded as I listened. The footsteps grew faster, closer, then stopped. Right at the entrance of the hallway. I didn't dare look. There were no guests on this floor. So who was walking there? I sat there, listening, for what felt like hours. The footsteps had stopped, but the feeling lingered. My hands were ice cold, and I was terrified. Then, a cold breeze brushed past me from behind. It wasn't a normal breeze, it was so cold it gave me goosebumps. I took a deep breath, and then I smelled it, a stench like rotting flowers. It was so strange. The smell came out of nowhere, growing stronger until I felt like gagging. I couldn't take it anymore. My heart was racing. I stood up, determined to turn off the lights and get out of the lobby. My hand shook as I walked to the switch. But just as I was about to touch it, I saw it, a shadow. A human shadow. It was standing in the corner of the lobby, by an old sofa no one had used in ages. The shadow didn't move, didn't make a sound, just stood there. I panicked. What is this? I shouted, who's there? My voice was trembling. No answer. And then, the shadow vanished. Right before my eyes. That night, I was on the verge of tears. I sat trembling at the counter until morning, too scared to move. When my coworker arrived for the morning shift, I told him everything. He laughed and said, "Faye, you probably just imagined it. This place is old, light can play tricks on your eyes." I wanted to believe him, but deep down, I knew it wasn't just my imagination. Because after that night, strange things started happening more often. Some nights, the lights would go out on their own. Other nights, I'd hear knocking on guest room doors, rooms that were empty. And stranger still, a guest complained to me. They said they saw a woman standing outside their room at 3 a.m., but when they opened the door, no one was there. I started to suspect this hotel was hiding something. So, I asked my coworkers about it. One of them, Sister Nid, a housekeeper who'd been there for nearly 10 years, told me the truth. This hotel wasn't always a hotel. Long ago, it was a vacation home for a wealthy family. About 30 years ago, something horrific happened. A woman named Miss Starr died in this house. No one knows how she died. Some say she took her own life, others say she was murdered. But one thing's certain, after her death, the house became a hotel, and the creepy incident started. Sister Nid went on to say that Miss Starr was beautiful, with long hair, and always wore white dresses. She loved flowers, especially jasmine. When I heard this, I got chills. That smell from my first night, the rotting flower scent, could it have been jasmine gone bad? And the shadow I saw, could it have been Miss Starr? I was terrified, but I had no choice. This job was my only income. I had to endure it. After learning about Miss Starr, I became more cautious. During night shifts, I carried holy water and silently prayed whenever I heard something odd. But some nights were unbearable. One night, I was at the counter when I heard dripping. Drip, drip, drip. I thought it was a leaky pipe, so I went to check. But when I reached the hallway, the sound stopped. And there, on the floor, were wet footprints. They led from the hallway to a vacant room on the ground floor, a room that had been empty for months. I stood there, shaking, too scared to investigate. Why was this happening to me? Then came the worst night of all. It was pouring rain, with thunder booming. The hotel's power went out completely. I had to light candles and wait for the technician. The candlelight was dim, and the shadows in the room danced eerily. I sat trembling at the counter. And then, I heard it, a woman crying. The sound came from the second floor, hoarse, like she'd been crying for hours. I was so scared I nearly cried myself. The sobbing grew louder, closer, until it felt like she was crying right next to me. I screamed, "Please stop." And everything went silent. A terrifying, deafening silence. In the morning, when the technician came to fix the power, he found wet footprints leading from the second floor down to the lobby, stopping right in front of the counter, where I'd been sitting. He asked if anyone had been walking around last night. I shook my head and said no, but I knew it wasn't a living person. After that, I quit. I couldn't take it anymore. But even after leaving, it wasn't over. I still dream about that hotel. I see a woman in a white dress with long hair. She just stands there, staring at me, smiling. And every time I wake up, I smell that rotting flower scent lingering in my nose. She's still following me, and I don't know what she wants from me. This is my story. Everything I've told you is etched in my heart forever. If you ever stay in an old hotel and hear strange noises or see something unexplainable, it might not just be your imagination. Sweet dreams, everyone.